Hi, I am Christy Paul, and I have a strong passion in my heart to see people come to Christ. Join me as we raise up an army of powerful prayer warriors with the same passion to see Jesus Christ glorified and to bring this nation of ours back to God. Hello viewers, thank you for tuning in. I am so pleased to have you here today. But today's show, I have with me a phenomenal woman, one who has worked her way up into becoming Vice President of Motorola. She's a very passionate women empowerment advocate, and I am so pleased to be hearing from Mary Pagano today. Hi, Mary. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, darling. Great to be here.
Oh, lovely. Oh, thank you. So let's start off by you telling me what your early days were like.
Oh, yeah.
Where were you brought up?
Yeah. So I was brought up in a really small town. I mean, little bitty. And if you drove past it, had one exit, you would miss it. But it was a small town, population of 5,000 in the middle of Missouri, halfway between Springfield and St. Louis. And it was a university town. So my father was a college professor, and he taught a lot of CEOs in America. So, and it was actually quite idyllic. I mean, I really, the whole thing, fairs, parades, blackberry picking, all that kind of stuff. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she was brilliant, but it was fascinating. She married my dad because he was a teacher, and her parents wouldn't let her go to college. Although she was valedictorian of her high school, at that time it was, not a thing to do for women to go to college. So she stayed home and had 4 girls and raised her daughters. And but she was quite smart, really wicked smart, actually. She started the internet in our hometown before I actually had it at Motorola. So yes, wow. And
You say your mom started the
Well, she started an ISP. So she started an ISP in Rolla, Missouri. Okay. And that's before we had access to the internet at Motorola. So that's how wicked smart she was. And she never worked. Yeah, she was quite brilliant. So I was really lucky. And I have 3 sisters, all engineers. My father was an engineering professor. So there you go. And I ended up in finance and business because I didn't really like math and science that well. I was a bit more social, And
okay, so I guess the intelligence run all the way through. So your sisters, you, your dad, your mom are all quite intelligent people. Oh, wow. So let's fast track to what was your first like?
Yeah, so my first job was actually, I worked all the way till I was like 16. I always had jobs, fast food, water slides, lifeguard, you name it. I did several jobs, and it was drilled into me, by my parents, a really strong work ethic. And and even in college, I had jobs. After I got out of school, I had worked with a small company called Executone at the time, and they were a small telephone company. So that's where I cut my teeth in regards to doing sales. And it was one of the best. I had one of the best leaders who helped me learn how hard it was and how much work you need to do to reach out for opportunities. And so that was really cutting my teeth on the training ground. And then I went to Motorola. And at the time, I didn't even know what Motorola did. It was, they didn't have any women there. It was not a company for women to go to. And so when they hired me on in St. Louis, this was after I got out of college and lived in St. Louis, there was like 50 men in the office, and I was one of 3 women. So it was extremely male dominated.
What was that like?
It was hard. It was really hard. And I've kind of dealt with being a woman, I think at the age of 3, realizing it wasn't fair for girls, that it was a different game. Right. And so I have the 10,000 razor blade cuts and not paper cuts, right? From my whole experience. It's kind of like you're being dismissed in a meeting, like they'll have a discussion and you try to, and then you're just kind of talked over or, not paying attention to it. And later in my career, I would have some male champions who would say, I like that idea a half hour ago when Mary brought it up. So, you kind of have to, create your own champions within the organization. But it was very difficult. I mean, there were a lot of meetings that took offsite, like at bars and golf courses and, some events that they wouldn't invite the women to. So that made it a little difficult in regards to navigating that. And I probably felt like I did my job more as, trying to be like a man as opposed to a woman, which probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I survived. And then they relocated me to Chicago. And I was escalating in my career from sales to sales management, sales leadership, and then, finally sales VP.
Talk about you tried to be more masculine, and you said it wasn't the maybe the best thing to do. Why? Can you explain?
Well, I think at the time.
Why did you think it wasn't?
Well, you know what? I should have been braver as a woman to say I'm a woman and I should be treated as a woman as opposed to trying to fit in with the guys. And, it worked for me just to survive. But, there were several lawsuits within the company. I probably could have sued them on many occasions for some of the workplace environment at the time. But that wasn't my nature. My nature was to get along and work through it and figure out how to succeed. And there were probably, a few handful of women who kind of, so to speak, slept their way to the top, right? And that wasn't an avenue I was going to take. For me, it was based on my skill, what I did, and how I, navigated an organization. And I just worked really hard to make friends with a lot of people, both inside and outside the company, and trying to get champions. But I've threatened a lot of men in my career, not purposefully, right? But just because I'm strong and I'm talented, and they don't really like that. They want you to be pretty and quiet and worship them and do whatever they want you to do. And that wasn't me. I was determined to learn and be successful. And so.
Sorry, but why did you think you had that mind? Was it from what you see at home, your mom being so intelligent, and was it because of that?
In regards for me being...
Why did you think you have that mindset that, oh, I'm not gonna...
Yeah.
Yeah, because some women will, like break down and, do other stuff, but you were just focused and you said that, no, I'm not going to do these things. I'm going to, work hard. And
yeah, I was very much a tomboy when I was a kid. That may be a little bit
okay.
And I also I swam in swim team competitively. I was even training for the Olympics. I didn't quite make it. I missed it by a 1/10 of a second for the mile swim. But my competitiveness, it's real dry within my nature. So okay. I'm the kind of person, if you give me something that can't be done, I will take it on. If it's too easy,
nice.
I'm done. It's just really not my cup of tea. But I do realize that I should have been stronger, and I see the millennials doing it now, being strong as I'm going to do the job as a woman, and I'm not going to be, like one of the guys. But, back in those days, it was a bit harder. I mean, if you weren't one of the guys, you were probably let go. And so.
Wow. So let's talk about when you became vice president of Motorola. What was the experience like? I know you told me what you encountered on your way up through the initial jobs that you have, but what was that like? I know it's on another scale now.
Yeah. So when I became VP, I still kind of operated a little bit like the guys because that's all I had done and that's all I had known. but I really made a huge effort to bring women in my organization. So whatever organization I was leading within Motorola, I always had 50% women. I mean, I looked immediately at the work chart, right? And that was really important to me to get women on, because I always wanted a mentor within Motorola, and I only got one and maybe had 2 calls with him. And it was difficult. And and he probably, I mean, he was a big leader, but not a very nice guy. And it was hard for me. And so I really wanted to make sure that I was helping all the women beneath me and, you know, rising up through the company and helping them, coaching them along on things to do and not to do, and giving them some opportunity. But there were still times where I would sit in a meeting and, you know, come up with an idea, and, you know, it was just dismissed. And then later on, you know, then I would have a champion say, you know what, Mary had a really great idea and we really need to do that. But it was, for me to be a VP at a Fortune 50 company was really a dream for me. And I think I was driven, it's kind of a funny story, but the way I was driven was actually because I didn't have an engineering degree. And when you come from a family of all engineers, right? And it was again, my drive, you know, like, okay, I might not be an engineer, but I am going to be a big success. And that was a little bit of my internal drive with me. And, but then I found that I loved tech, and especially things that hadn't been done before. And at the time, in the early 2000s, Motorola was really like the Google of the time, right? Doing a lot of big one-offs and really changing the landscape. And I got to be a part of it, and I really, really enjoyed it. But I led differently than a lot of my colleagues as a VP. You know, it's interesting how the men would, if somebody was not performing on their team, they would dismiss them, and then they'd find those guys in a higher position in another part of the organization, even though they had failed so many times. But this is kind of how the guys kind of work. They don't want to take the time to help them, right? And they just kind of, as I refer to it, as pass the trash, right? There's usually a lot of that. And as a leader, I would actually take on the mission of, how do I improve them? You know, what's holding them back? And invariably, it's simple stuff. I mean, it really is. And if you just take a really true interest in them and their careers and what they want to do, and sometimes it's wrapped around their life, you know, like what's going on at home. And once you once you set some goals with them and you have the dialogue of what is it that you really want, because if this job is not getting you excited, then tell me what you want to do and I'll help you get there. But at the same token, I mean, I had some great performers that really slipped to the point like I was almost going to let them go. And I finally had the dialogue of what's holding you back? What's going on? And then, you know, and then he became my star. So I think women bring a really interesting element to leadership that men don't really pay attention to. And women bring a bit of empathy and collaboration and cooperation, and have a true desire to make things successful. And I found a lot of my male colleagues that were really kind of riding the ladder and tying their coats to somebody that was gonna, you know, they'd meet at the golf course and at the bar. And those were areas I couldn't compete in. And, but I really, because I was not given the same opportunities as my colleagues, right? Like, for instance, I might have a team that, you know, didn't have any opportunities within our marketplace. And so I had to build nothing out of something. And that has always been, you know, where it's easy to put a woman there, right? And some of my male colleagues were always given the opportunities, like, you know, the cash flow was going to come in. And, you know, I'd had bosses that would say to me that, well, you know, you don't have a family to feed, and they've got, you know, and so I struggled with that all the time. But at the end of the day, it really made me a much better leader, because I can take nothing and turn it into something. And, you know, I did that with AT&T. It took a $300 million business to $1 billion. So, I mean, I know how to start from scratch. And a lot of my male colleagues, you know, they never really had to put their foot to the pedal and drive it. I mean, it was almost like things were handed to them. But that's all part of the good old boy network. And when you're in a very male dominated company, and especially in tech, And it's not as bad as it used to be, but I hear a lot of stories, and I try to help women wherever I can. So I always helped out the women on my team, but I'd even have people on LinkedIn reach out to me and say, is there something that you can help with this, or, looking for and I always take the time, to give them a few tips or mentors or whatever. But I can tell you that I worked with a really lot of talented people at Motorola, and I still have those strong relationships today, which I was very fortunate. At the time, Bob Galvin in the 90s was very big on diversity and integrity and respect. And I would not have been a VP if it hadn't been for him, quite frankly, to really make that a mission. And it has to come from the top down. And that's where a lot of companies fail. But I have to say that, he was like one of the first countries to do business in China. And he was bringing all these Indian engineers over. And we had every nationality and religion within our teams. And I'm very lucky and very blessed to have been a part of that. So I owe a lot to Motorola, actually, is being able to allow me to be independent and support myself and do all these cool things that I love doing. So.
Oh, you are such an awesome woman, Mary. Wow.
Thank you.
I know you talked about that you would give tips to women. I would like to ask you, can you give some tips for us who are on the rise in our careers?
Oh yeah, I got tons of them. There's about 7 big factors I find the most important. And one of them is see it to believe it, right? So even as a little girl in a small rural town in Rolla, Missouri, I used to watch the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And that's a show before your time. But she was a anchor woman on the news, a TV channel, and she lived in Manhattan. And she was single and independent. And as a little kid, I used to watch that and think, oh, I want that life. That's the life I want, right? And, not to disrespect my mom and being a homemaker and raising 4 girls, just for some reason, I mean, watching that show was like my aha moment, like, ooh, that's possible. So, I say, dream big, let it go, follow your heart. What does it really feel like for you? And look for it, right? And then you can start to build your life around things that make your heart throb. And I mean, I probably would have done a few things differently if I didn't feel the necessity to prove to my family that I was smart enough and that I would make more money than all of them. I probably would have lived just a little bit differently. But, I think it's really important for people to recognize, to kind of get out of their own little world to see what is possible, right? And I always find that travel is a good thing too, to kind of get when I need a shift in, things, the travel is always good for me, and I need that visibility. So, and the other thing is to get mentors and sponsors. It's so important. And I remember talking to, at the time, the CIO at Motorola, and she had just come into the company. She was really bright. We went out to dinner one night, and I asked her, what was her secret? And she said, how did she get this job? And at the time she said, it really was my network. She said, the CEO saw how big my network was globally, and that was an important factor in getting this job. And I thought, oh, wow. Okay. I mean, I'd done a pretty good job networking internally. I mean, it was a big company. It was 300,000 people or whatever. And I thought, okay, she's right. I need to start networking more outside the company. And I did. I started to make big efforts to do that, joining global organizations, in my travels. And so, but I think, a lot of men get sponsors, and it's a little bit harder for a woman to get a sponsor. But if you can find one, that's brilliant, because they're more invested in your success. But it's helpful to have as many mentors as you can, and even tell them, like if you say, I'd love for you to mentor me, I'd love for you to coach me, have a number of them, right? That you can, tap into from time to time, and, even pass ideas by you. But it's also important to hold them accountable, identify your goals, what are some of the career advancement things you want to do? And also be a mentor to somebody else. I mean, because that's huge. when you mentor somebody else, you're also helping yourself. And every time I've had a 5-year-old give me a brilliant idea for a $1 billion opportunity. So pay attention everywhere, right? I mean, don't feel like you're a know-it-all, and be mentored and get mentored. But if you can get a sponsor, that's also somebody who's financially more invested in your future, right? So it's easier for guys to find them than women. As you know, it's the female founders today trying to get money is a bit challenging, and that's also part of my goal is to invest in female founders. But outside of the mentoring, right? There's also be in charge of your destiny, and I mean, just because you work hard and you think people are watching you, they don't care. They're going to let you do that until you're in your grave. And when I say be in charge of your destiny, it's a lot of things, right? It's the networking, it's promoting yourself, it's looking for that next place that you want to be, right? So, it's you taking full responsibility. Don't think that somebody's going to pick you up and take you somewhere, because they're not. They're not. And also, don't be afraid to take a lateral position. I've done this a number of times. And, the challenge I ran into is that as a sales leader, I was really good at it. I was always bringing on people and promoting them, building the business, driving a lot of revenue for the company. But I kind of got a little tired of it, and I needed a bit of a change. So I did other things like, marketing, product development, and strategic alliances. And some of them were lateral moves. Do not be afraid of that, because it actually adds to who you are and what you're capable of doing. So, the who you are is what you've learned and what you do. And it's all things that can never be taken away from you, right? So that's just something extremely valuable. Now, some people may not be comfortable with change, but change is really good. And I think for taking that first move is sometimes difficult for them, because they go, oh, I don't know if I can do it, and I'm afraid. You know what? That's the best time to do it. That's really the best time to do it. So I strongly urge it. And then engage in self-advocacy. Guys are brilliant at this. And I don't know why women aren't as good at it. And it must be because we were maybe as girls taught to be nice and not to brag, and but guys promote themselves and over promote and exaggerate on their promoting.
Yes.
And they're brilliant at it. And and women don't do that. I mean, we don't even know how good we are. It's almost like it's like when we get in the habit of saying, I'm sorry. I mean, what are you sorry for? You didn't do anything wrong. And it's fascinating. How we, and I don't know if it's a lack of confidence, but there's always a time to do a quick elevator pitch with anybody. When you meet them, when you say hello, there's a way to, to present who you are and what you're about, but promote yourself, and do it with a lot of people, and don't be afraid to do it. Because the cool thing is that you also might find a click or a connection with another person that you can help them go to the next level, and they can help you go to the next level. So whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So I think engaging in self-advocacy is a really big deal. And then I think I talked about the power of networking, but I can't stress enough how critical and how important that is. I do it. I must meet 5 new people every week. And I have chats with them. I find out what's important to them. If I've got somebody that can help them, I introduce them, and they do the same thing. And it's just, I can't even begin to tell you how critical it is. Even though you're focused on this, and this is what I'm doing, it doesn't hurt to meet somebody outside of it that might be valuable in your long-term game, where you want to go. So, and LinkedIn is probably the best tool for that. I use that a lot, but I also belong to a lot of different groups. And then I guess finally I would say, and I even hate to bring this up, but be aware of the queen bee syndrome. And I don't know if you know what that means, and I think this is one of the reasons why women aren't as successful as we could be, is because sometimes women don't help us. And the queen bee is a woman who is very full of herself, and she'll use you, but she won't help you. And in some cases, she could actually sabotage you. So I've had to work for a few queen bees. It's very fascinating experience. You think, oh, finally, I work for a woman, things are going to be great. And it turns out not to be the case. So you have to just acknowledge it and know it and continue to look out for yourself. And that's why it's really important to have mentors in your life, right? For all aspects, you know, from living to health to work, whatever. It's always great to have mentors. But I'm kind of sad about the queen bee syndrome. And it's unfortunate because I think the guys do a better job looking out for each other than women do.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like the mentoring thing is so important, you know, bring people along with you, right? Because there's a part of an aspect of you get more than you give out to some extent. You know, it's like whatever you give out comes back to you.
Yes.
But I think it's important for every woman to recognize it and to check ourselves for that as well. So
I'd like to know, how did you survive working with queen bee or queen bee? How did you survive?
It's very difficult. And it's kind of like, you almost have to be like in a yes position with them, you know, and whatever it is that they want you do, you're kind, you're considerate, you pay attention to them, you make sure that you're doing what they want, but don't count on them to take you any further, right? So you have to find, through a mentor or somebody else. And in some cases, you might even have to move out of the organization. But you just have to recognize it, that even though you're honest, you're ambitious, and you feel like you're doing the right thing, some people will use you because you're so good at that they, don't want you to leave their organization because they need you. And then sometimes it's, it's that queen bee thing. So you can, just be respectful. This is the best thing you can do. But you need to do that for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. I know we're talking about this project here at AT. Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, so I'm really quite passionate about it. And if I tear up, I'm sorry. But after I left AT&T, I then went to GE, and a lot of it was because of the new tech with smart cities and intelligent enterprises, because I've always done one-off techs, things, big projects, really big projects haven't been done before. And I left GE in June last year, and I thought, I'm going to take 2.5 years off, and I'm going to just kind of travel around and see what goes, and then I'll get back into the grind. And I had I met this woman in Portugal. I was there for a juicy spa, and so I met Marinella, and we just kind of hit it off, like unbelievable. And a little bit about her background. It's Marinella Murpuri. Her family was kind of like royalty in Portugal. They ran a airline business, High Fly. They do wet leases and provide planes and crew for all airlines. She then ran her own airline, NetJets. She ran NetJets in Europe, and then she sold it to Warren Buffett and decided she's going to get into philanthropy. And she was talking about the women's organization. At the time, I was like, okay, all right. There's a lot of them out there, and then she mentioned, well, we're going to build a city. And I said, ooh, okay, that's big. I like big. And and she said, yeah, we're going to build a city, and it's going to be a smart green city. I was like, okay, smart city, you got my attention. Ooh, green, a lot of nature, right? And we're going to address all the SDGs. And I'm like, now I'm getting really excited. And but we're going to do it in honor of women. I mean, it'll be a city for all religions, all nationalities, all genders, right? But it will be in honor of women. And if you think about it, women are, I mean, we're great at taking care of family, community, we work, you know, we do all these things, right? And when we build a house, the woman will design the kitchen because she knows what she needs, right? But a city, every city is built by men, right? And there really is no aspect of a city that's about living, about community, about family, right? And so that's what we want to, and I think COVID was our big wake up call that this is what we're doing now is not working. And so we want to build the new city based on the future of humanity, very green, all the SDGs, and a healthy environment. We want to do tech for good. I mean, I've done creepy tech. I've done all kinds of tech. And there's so much going on. And a lot of these cities today that they're doing with the smart cities, because I've been working with the UN Smart Cities team on this, it's always about the latest and greatest tech. And it really does not have the humanity aspect at the core of it. And that's what really bothers us, right? So I think at this point in time, I think women, and the importance of it, honoring women, is that we need women at the table. 50% of the women around the world need to be at the table. You know, whether we're making laws, we're running companies, because, you know, it's now or never. And obviously what's been happening in the past is really not working. And, you know, women have money to spend. I mean, women have needs for the family and they need to be addressed. I mean, it seems like everything focuses on what the men need, and those days are really over. So I'm very excited about it. And there's a couple aspects too that we're doing in regards to not only the city, but so education is really important to us. So getting women educated is also a huge piece of it. The CEO of Montessori is helping us lead that effort. We also we want to get women into homes. And so, and we feel very strongly that women need to empower women and support women. So we have a perfume coming out here at the end of the year that when you buy the perfume, all the proceeds go to the Hera projects. And so for instance, if a woman wants to buy a home, maybe we pay 25 to 50% of that home, and then she pays the rest. So that way, you know, she may not get dollar per dollar for her job, but at least she'll get a discount on a house. And we feel very strongly for women to own their own home and to have their own investment. And then the other piece is making a living. And so we do have an online market that if you have internet access, any woman can make beautiful, you know, gorgeous stuff and sell it in the marketplace. So those are the three main areas that we're focused in on in regards to, and it's about action, right? We just don't want to be another association that talks. And then we also have, and we're bringing on a lot of large female organizations around the globe because we want to unite them. I mean, this is also part of getting rid of that queen bee thing, because if we can, all these organizations come together and participate in making some of these changes, and we'd like to hear from them in regards to building the city, right? That's really important. And then of course, we've got another partner we're working with, Female Tribes. I'll introduce you to them, but they've got a really cool mobile app. And they are, it's kind of like Facebook meets WhatsApp, but it's for women only. And so we need a safe space for women to talk all over the world and to network and to chat. And so, you know, if we bring, you know, like Hera Tribe into the group, we bring Women Economic Forum into the group, Women's Forum, you know, SheEO, we start bringing all these women's organizations where they have their own platform to chat and communicate, but also they can access other women from other organizations. So it's really, really important that we break down this queen bee syndrome and become united, because we'll be much more stronger in getting things done, as opposed to being so, you know, I got a kingdom, you know. So that's also part of it. But I'm very excited about it, and we just got a huge investment. And so the city right now, we're at a point that we've got several countries reaching out to us. So we don't have the final location of the city, but I can tell you that it will happen. The city will happen.
Oh, I'm excited. The excitement has rubbed off me.
I know. Well, I will definitely live there. And so, anyway, there are 3 countries, and I'm really excited about all 3 of them. So we'll see what happens. There might be more as we're progressing, but everybody that I talk to, I mean, you can almost see the tears come out of the woman's eye, because it's like, this is like so long overdue. And
yeah.
And when I think about, and I look at, some of the women that are leaders, even the US, and I think, if I lived in any other country, I probably would have killed someone. But, even, yeah, but even in the US, when I look at, the females, CEOs and the boards, blah, 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 it hasn't really changed much in the last 20 years. It's just been different faces. And so, that's where we really need to up the quantity to this 50%. It has to be 50%. And then, of course, the pay is important, because there's a lot of single moms out there raising kids, and they're not getting paid that their male counterparts are. And that's just wrong on so many levels.
Yeah. Oh, this is awesome. Awesome, awesome. So how important is God to you in the home?
Oh, yeah. He's a big part. He's a huge part. I was raised a Catholic as a kid and went to Catholic school, so I went to church every day. And then as I got older, I kind of dropped from the religion side of it, but I was still extremely spiritual. And I'm one of those people who believes that God is in every single human being, and even the ones that aren't so nice. And I think of that person that's not so nice as somebody who just needs a whole lot more love. And they are hurting. Because people only strike out when they are unhappy with themselves or angry or whatever. But, you weren't born to hate. You were taught it. But for me, I talk to God every night. And sometimes when I walk, now you might start getting me to cry, but I do. I mean, I do every day, ask him to use me in the best way, right? And for me, my biggest passion is the empowerment of women and girls around the globe. And before I skid into home base, I want to make sure that I made a difference. And so I ask him quite often, use me. This is what I want to do, but use me in the best way. So, but he's in everybody. He's in everybody, and he's everywhere. So.
Oh, Mary, I can see the heart that you have. It's just continuously, and like you said, you can see in everyone, and I see so much in you. I am so blessed to have this conversation with you today, Mary, and it's I'm just honored to know that there's more people like you in the earth. And I'm excited. I'm excited about the project. I'm excited about what's going to happen. So thank you so much.
Thank you, darling. I so enjoyed the conversation.
Oh, thank you. I did as well. I think I'll be having some with you. I actually really do feel uplifted. I really feel your heart, like I feel so uplifted.
Yes. There's
really
so much that you can do. Everybody can do something, and everybody is so unique and has an amazing skill, and they just have to let it go, right? Be authentic and just let it go.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Hi, I am Christy Paul, and I have a strong passion in my heart to see people come to Christ. Join me as we raise up an army of powerful prayer warriors with the same passion to see Jesus Christ glorified and to bring this nation of ours back to God.
really excited at Faith World TV because for the first time we've been able to invest in new programming. And new programming is important because we got to bring the Word of God out to the unchurched, the people that perhaps don't know Christ, and make the programming interesting. And one of the programs that we've got is the Faith Music Show with Mary Allison Monarch, and we are going to have some top worship leaders and singers on that program, and eventually we're going to have the Faith World Choir on the show as well. But viewers, you know, this all costs money, and really what I'm doing today is I'm asking you to give, to help us produce these shows. I've never ever done an appeal on Faith World TV before, but now the time is right because we want to take it up a step. We want to make it the best Christian TV network on the platform, but it costs money, and sometimes viewers, we just don't have that money to give. And as you know, I've got Christy with me today, and Christy does an important program called Bring the Nation Back to God, where we talk to pastors about their experiences and their life and what Jesus means to them. And that show is really, really important in outreach. And Christy, you got a new show coming up, haven't you?
Yes,
Tell the viewers about it and what the exciting things you've got planned.
Yes, I am very, very excited about the new show that's coming up. If you are not interested in tedious workouts in the gym, of course, then you can tune into this show and get fit with me. We use simple, very simple dance moves to get in shape, to stay in shape, and to feel well within ourselves. I'll also be interviewing some very prominent people, and just to basically hear of their story of how they got there, you know, to inspire people who are looking on, especially the youth. Yeah, so I am really excited about this show, Stuart.
And also, we're going out and doing some outreach, aren't we? You're taking the camera and you're going to talk to people about the good news about Jesus and what they think about having God in their lives, and get some on-street stories.
Oh yes, it will be very exciting. So like Stuart said, we'll be having a camera crew going into the streets and basically talking to people, learning from their lives, common people like you and I. And I think it's very interesting because we will hear the real story from people, and basically we would learn how we can have more of an impact in their lives. So yes, I am very, very excited about this one.
You see, viewers, we've existed on the wonderful ministries that have supported us, but we got to get to the next step, and this is where we want you to help us. We want you to download our app, and we want you to look at the numbers on the screen or go to our website and get behind us, donate, so that we can invest this money in bringing you much better programming. As I said before, it is the first time we've ever asked for your support, and we love you. We really love you. We love you that you watch us, and we want you to be part of it as our supporters. And when we bring out this programming, you know that you've helped us.
Hi everyone, I am Christy Paul from Faith World TV, and I'm here to speak about our new app. And what other way to do it than with the chairman of TMH Media, Stuart Freeman.
Well, Christy, it was really like this. I used to go into meetings with my team, and we're really keen on social media. And they'd say to me, Stuart, we've got 1,000 new likes this month on Facebook, or we've got engagements with all these viewers. But I used to say, who are they? I don't know who they are. And I used to get really frustrated. And then one day I met a guy who had built an app, and he was like, if you like a mini Mark Zuckerberg. And Mark Zuckerberg, who owns Facebook, is, let me get this correct, is a multi-millionaire, shortly to become a trillionaire. The reason that he was so wealthy was he had all my information. He had all my analytics, the emails, telephone numbers of all the people that were on my Facebook page. And so 2 years ago, we started to build our first app. And now we've just launched it. And the great thing is, Christy, is that for the first time ever, I know who we're engaging with. I know who's downloading the app, who's watching us, who we can talk to by email. If we want to talk to them on the phones, we can. We can get views of what they think of Faith World TV. We can ask them questions about what sort of shows they would like. And it's phenomenal. It really is. The first thing is, you don't have to have a TV screen. You don't have to be near a website. You can engage with us at any time. All you do is you go to your app store, you download the Faith World TV app, and you can watch what's on currently. You'll know the schedule. You'll also know what time your favourite program's on. And we've got a whole library of past programs as well. So if you like a particular minister, you can look at it, look at the index, and source the show. And above all, the most important part is that we were talking about donating today or supporting us. All you do is press the support button and you can give to us. And what's more, if you're in the UK, you can donate in pounds. If you're in America, you could be dollars. In Africa, naira, Europe, euros. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can donate to us. And that is something that is dear to us, you know, because without receiving funds, we won't be able to do all those new programs that we've spoken about.
Thank you, viewers. You've heard it from the chairman of TMH Media, Stuart Freeman.
Well, viewers, if you want to give to us, just ring the number that's on the screen or go to the website.
Or better still, you can download the Faith World TV app and just press the donate button. Your support is greatly appreciated.
Your support is greatly appreciated, and then we can bring you all those new programs that we spoke about.
Hello, good people. This is Bishop Wayne Malcolm, the Business Bishop, and I'm here at Faith World TV Studios. You know, I'm so grateful for Christian media because it allows us to learn, to connect, to share, to grow, and to develop our faith. I'm grateful for Faith World TV and the stream of content that it makes available to us at home, especially in times like these when we have all rediscovered the power of church at home. Well, Faith World TV is committed to you and wants to take this channel to its next level, wants to upgrade equipment, wants to upgrade the quality of programming so that we can meet you at your point of need and minister to you in these particular times. I want to encourage you to consider sowing a seed into the upgrading of this great channel. It has served us so well for so long, but it is being called higher to the next level. I want you to consider sowing a generous offering into Faith World TV. Now the details are appearing on your screen, and we just want you to pray for the channel and do what you can to make a difference, knowing that whatever you sow into the channel, you are fundamentally sowing into the lives of the thousands and millions of viewers that will be blessed by the content. So, God bless you and thank you in advance.
Yeah, I'm really excited at Faith World TV because for the first time we've been able to invest in new programming. And new programming is important because we got to bring the Word of God out to the unchurched, the people that perhaps don't know Christ, and make the programming interesting. And one of the programs that we've got is the Faith Music Show with Mary Allison Monarch, and we are going to have some top worship leaders and singers on that program, and eventually we're going to have the Faith World Choir on the show as well. But viewers, you know, this all costs money, and really what I'm doing today is I'm asking you to give, to help us produce these shows. I've never ever done an appeal on Faith World TV before, but now the time is right because we want to take it up a step. We want to make it the best Christian TV network on the platform, but it costs money, and sometimes, viewers, we just don't have that money to give. And as you know, I've got Christy with me today, and Christy does an important program called Bring the Nation Back to God, where we talk to pastors about their experiences and their life and what Jesus means to them. And that show is really, really important in outreach. And Christy, you got a new show coming up, haven't you?
Yes,
Tell the viewers about it and what the exciting things you've got planned.
Yes, I am very, very excited about the new show that's coming up. If you are not interested in tedious workouts in the gym, of course, then you can tune into this show and get fit with me. We use simple, very simple dance moves to get in shape, to stay in shape, and to feel well within ourselves. I'll also be interviewing some very prominent people, and just to basically hear of their story of how they got there, you know, to inspire people who are looking on, especially the youth. Yeah, so I am really excited about this show, Stuart.
And also, we're going out and doing some outreach, aren't we? You're taking the camera and you're going to talk to people about the good news about Jesus and what they think about having God in their lives, and get some on-street stories.
Oh yes, it will be very exciting. So like Stuart said, we'll be having a camera crew going into the streets and basically talking to people, learning from their lives, common people like you and I. And I think it's very interesting because we will hear the real story from people, and basically we would learn how we can have more of an impact in their lives. So yes, I am very, very excited about this one.
You see, viewers, we've existed on the wonderful ministries that have supported us, but we got to get to the next step, and this is where we want you to help us. We want you to download our app, and we want you to look at the numbers on the screen or go to our website and get behind us, donate, so that we can invest this money in bringing you much better programming. As I said before, it is the first time we've ever asked for your support, and we love you. We really love you. We love you that you watch us, and we want you to be part of it as our supporters. And when we bring out this programming, you know that you've helped us.